Sophie Mas. And the actress and producer, Natalie Portman. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So this is just such an incredible film, right? Such a beautiful kind of parable of what different futures could await us. That's how I see it anyway. That you present us with sort of this choice of two different futures. One, this sort of more idyllic future that Arco lives in the far away time where humans are living off the earth to protect the planet, to help it heal from what they've done to it, really. And then this nearer future, the one that Iris lives in, where there are natural disasters, where humans are more connected to technology than to each other in many ways. And I feel like you give us this really sort of intriguing, potentially dark, but ultimately quite hopeful version of the future. Could you talk about that a little bit, about how you see the message of the film?
In fact, I wanted to look at children and their parents, to families, straight in the eyes, you know, and say, let's be honest. This is the tomorrow is going to be like this. This is the world we're going to living in, and let's face it. I don't want to lie to the kids. I don't want to lie because these are the fictional things I like. You know, when they look at me in the eyes and say the truth in a way. But if we give it a try, if we think better ways for the future, you know, maybe we can create it. Because science fiction, I'm a science fiction writer myself since more than 10 years now, and it appeared to me when I began doing this movie that we were living in 2020. We were living in a really bad science fiction movie,
Right.
and science fiction created in a way the world we live in right now, and I said to myself, okay, let's try to spread better things and to imagine better things for our future, because if we don't imagine the best, it can't happen, you know. So this
Right,
is
we need hope, right? But you're right, that was a time when we were incredibly isolated from one another.
When I began doing this movie, I really wanted to have kids, and my work was cynical because science fiction is a lot like this, and I said, okay, I don't want my kids to watch to see my work and say, oh, Papa is so cynical, Papa is I tried to,
And now you have kids, I understand.
Yeah, I had to during the making.
Right, okay.
And you?
So acting it and produced it at that point, what was your?
Well, we said when we started producing that if we were lucky enough to have the movie be in English for Anglophone audiences, I would be happy to do one of the voices. But yeah, of course, it was very unknown to us at the beginning, you know, an independent animation from a first-time filmmaker. It's very uncharted territory for us. So yeah, it was, but Sophie and I looked at each other and were like, this is such an incredible opportunity because Ugo is such a massive talent. It's hard to say right in front of him, but it's just, it was so clear right away that we were dealing with like the major artist and a major voice, and also like heart and soul that was exactly what we want to put in the world. Like we looked at each other and we're like, we just want this to exist. And I don't think we've ever had that conversation in that way where we're like, we have no idea about like commercial prospects or audiences or whatever, but this just like, this has to exist. We need this to exist, and if we can be a small part of it, it's so meaningful.
We didn't mention it, but this is Ugo's first feature. Which is incredible, right? He's done a couple of shorts and have an extensive background in science fiction illustration, right, comic books and so on and so forth, but this is your first feature, which is just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Natalie, I understand that your mom, your kids have seen it, and since this is a film that I see as not just being for adults, also being for kids, but it can impact us differently depending on when we see it and how we see it. I'm curious what reaction your kids had.
My kids loved it. and I'm so happy to see so many kids here today. Hey kids, can everyone scream a little bit? Because you've been very patient. Do you want to scream Arco? You want to get up and jump a little bit, move around, because you're being so patient. Everyone who's under 18, or stand up and wiggle a little and scream Arco, okay? 1, 2, 3. Arco! Thank you for being such an amazing audience for us. We're so lucky to have children's eyes on it. They bring so much conversation and engagement with, I think that was the most exciting thing for me with my kids, all the conversations that it brought up, like, what does it mean that the parents are away and showing up as holograms? What kind of robot nanny be emotive and affectionate? Are we gonna have to live on platforms in the future to heal our earth? You know, all of these kinds of questions that I think the movie sparks really incredible conversation.
It's incredibly poignant as a parent too, to think about that, to think about the fact that you know, these parents are appearing only as holograms to their children because they're just too busy working, and that the kids are more attached to Mickey, the nanny bot, in many ways, which is not that far off from where we are now. When I saw the robots picking up the debris after the storm and doing construction work, I thought, well, that's AI, that's like tomorrow, right? That's basically where we are. So I think you have this really incredible vision for where we are now and where we may be going, and unless we make certain choices. One of the things the film also addresses is kind of natural disaster, really sort of man-made or human-engineered disasters, including the fires. And that's something that I think might really actually resonate with audiences here in a particular way. Tell me about what that was like for you, because you said when you first proposed that, you were told there's no way that could happen.
Yeah, the first persons I talked about the movie, you know, they said, oh, fires don't come like this, it's impossible, like it's a Deus Ex Machina. And I was like, we're already having a lot of fires, and we're gonna have more in the next years, you know. So we sticked, and thanks to Natalie and Sophie that protected the movie, like we managed to do the movie exactly as we wanted. And while we were finishing the frames of the movie, like 4 years after beginning writing it, you know, writing this scene, we were finishing the frames, and we saw the fires in LA, and everybody in the studio that were working on it, you know, we had the images of like news and our movie, and it was so heartbreaking to see that it got it arrived faster than we thought it would, you know. Also, so yeah,
There's quite
it's
a
going
real
fast.
kind of warning in your film, I think. And tell me a little bit about, if you could, the storyboard process, because I understand it's quite a rapid animation, like the fact that you animated it all within 1 year. Maybe Sophie can also discuss that as well, like what that was like for you.
In fact, I storyboarded during 3 years, storyboarded and writing. With Felix, we really thought that it was important because animation has to be written also with images, because at the end it will be images. So I was storyboarding, and unconscious was going in. Drawing is a really good way to go into your unconscious and find deep things, you know. And so I was storyboarding, and then we were writing, storyboarding, writing, and so it took us 3 years. People didn't get the script in France and didn't get they said it's impossible, you'll never be able to do that movie. And
why did they?
Because the French system also, like they need, you know, they need a lot of things. I won't go deep in that, but and also maybe these weren't the good persons to talk to. So we decided to protect the movie, to get it out of the market, and do an animatic in order so we could show people, and so they could get what we wanted to do. So we began, like, we put all our money in that, the studio money and our money too, and we did, like, we began working on the animatic, and after a really precise animatic, for example, there's 24 frames by seconds, and we were animating at between 8 and 12, so it was kind of precise, and you could have the real feeling of the movie, even if it was in black and white. And after like 45 minutes, Felix told me, I think we should call Jamil and show him. Jamil wasn't that you weren't like really knowing that we were doing this. I don't know, but yeah. So he came and we talked about Sophie and Natalie, and the next day, like they came to the studio and everybody was saying Natalie's coming, and then we finished. They helped us like financing the rest of the animatic, which was a huge like also risk, and then after finishing the animatic like 5 months later, that was crazy also because it allowed us to go straight to production, and we did it in 1 year and 2 months. Normally in the schedule it was 1 year and 8 months, but as Cannes was coming, we said, and we were seeing that it was possible, we said okay, let's rush it and finish it for Cannes. And so yeah, it was crazy. Also, I think we're the first animation movie finishing 6 months earlier, and so yeah. So no, it was, and also not how do you say, ruining the image, like keeping the quality of it. Like no, it was a great adventure, against the wind sometimes, but great adventure.
And apparently also unusual to do the whole thing in Paris.
Yeah, I really needed that because I like the craft. I don't like when animation is industrial because we pass more time sending mails than like actually drawing, and I'm a drawer, and I want also to be able to help my team, so I really want to be near them. And all the day I go through the rooms. Every day I take the place of an animator and I redo when he's going in the wrong way, you know, and I adjust. And to go before, like the animatic was so clear that it helped us, like, you know, keeping the you know, it was such a thin line we were working on that it helped. The animatic really helped us not going too much on the right or too much on the left, and stay on that really thin line of.
So having a really clear animatic sort of schematic gave you a sense of what direction.
Yeah,
you were
and
going
also
in.
animatic, we were four working on it.
Right.
Like we had to do 5 shots a day each, and so it wasn't that expensive. It was expensive as a proof of concept, but it wasn't that expensive, and it helped us like put the money exactly where we needed it.
And then, so when Natalie came on board, not just as producer but also to act in it, did that sort of open the floodgates for this great American voice cast that you got? Like, because you have Mark Ruffalo, you have Will Ferrell, you have Andy Samberg, you have Flea,
I'm gonna let Sophie
which is
maybe
quite an
answer
interesting
that.
trio. I want to ask about that. But how did that, like, Natalie, was it sort of your capital that allowed for other?
Well, I think it's really the film. We had the finished film that Ugo made in French that was like our calling card that we sent to. We had to do the English version quite quickly because we were extremely lucky that Neon came on after Cannes and said that they were going to bring it to Toronto after. So we had just a few months to do the English version. So we didn't really have time to go through a traditional, you know, casting thing. And so we were like, who do we know who we love? And we sent it. Will Ferrell, we worked with as producers on May, December. Mark Ruffalo, we were shooting with currently on the Lena Dunham film that we did last summer. America Ferrera is a dear friend of mine. Flea is a dear friend of Jamil's. So we just sent to our friends, but we sent them the film, and they all
hoping one of them would say yes.
Yeah, we were like, if we get one, and literally each one after they saw the film, like 5 minutes after they watched the film, they were like, "Yep,
I want to be a part of it."
It was. I think
support.
it's the quality of the material, and everyone just fell in love with it as we did.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that on the kids, it was crazy because in France it took us 5 months to find 2 kids, and in America, like I was like, oh, how are you gonna find 2 kids in 2 weeks? And I mean, we see so much crazy people, like crazy actors, and Romy and Giuliano were like, it was like this, you know. And you are lucky in America because there are a lot of good kids working in the industry.
Yeah, they make the movie. They're the heart of the movie.
They are amazing. Tell me about about how the casting of when you have Flea, Andy Samberg, and Will Ferrell, that sort of added a different dynamic that I understand than the French version.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
In fact, we didn't want to copy paste the two versions because sometimes when you try to copy paste, you lose the heart of the movie, the soul of the movie, and what we really wanted to keep is the essence of it, what it meant, and so sometimes we had to go through different tones or different way of saying the same thing to have the same emotion, and this is great because it learns a lot about, also in books, if you read a book translated bad, it's a bad book, and if you read so for example, me, Murakami, he's a guy, writer that I love, but when it's not the traduction guy, translation guy that I love, it like I don't like the book. So in fact, we kind of did the same that in books, you know, and for example, yeah, Will Ferrell didn't have the same energy, or was bringing almost the opposite of Vincent McCain, which is a French actor, but we liked it. Like, it was surprising for us, and it was cool to play also with the material that we had. And Andy Samberg was bringing more. So they changed the dynamic, but at the end of it, we have the
same energy.
Yeah, the same energy and the same feeling. So that was so great. Also discovering like new, like almost it's not a new movie, but it's the same movie, the same essence of it, but differently. And I think, yeah, and also making movies is also having fun doing it, not always pain. It doesn't have to be necessarily painful all the time. So yeah, I was happy also, like being free and like on this.
You've mentioned in interviews some of your influences going into this, including Miyazaki, Pinocchio, some of the other Disney films. Of course, there's a little bit of E.T. here, The Little Prince, Petit Prince. There's so many different things, and there's this unmistakable, very individual, unique voice to you as well. I wanted just to ask about how you came to the scene in the caves where Mickey is doing the drawing and he's recording the memories, because to me that is the emotional climax of the film, and it's just like I could just feel chills as I was watching it, because Mickey is recording the memories so they won't be forgotten, and you can see that even though he's a robot, he has, you know, this intense attachment to these children and wants that to be noted.
There are several answers to this one question.
Whatever direction you want.
The first one, it was pure unconscious. In fact, when I write, I like to use my unconscious and not to control things. And it appeared like that. And after, I realized that I was doing a movie about light, and I had to put them in the dark at one time. Also, I mean, the cave is also the place of eternity, and it's a movie about time, and the cave is the only place in which you can save things through times, in a lot of times. We had drawings from the very first people on Earth, you know, and so it's a good hard drive also for information. And also I like that today we go in caves because we're a bit curious about our past, but I feel also we are losing our connection right now. Today, we are losing a bit of our connection for history, for learning, and that's why I wanted to put the cave like abandoned cave. So yeah, just this element was saying so much, and I wanted Mickey to be like he's leaving a trace. And this is typically human to leave a trace in the world, you know. But leaving a trace is saying this is important, and yeah, I found it super beautiful to say Iris is important for me, and yeah, and crying again.
Well, you have absolutely left a trace here with the rest of us who've seen this film. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And that is our time. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.